Ronnie, welcome into the Better Baseball MLB DFS live show here on the Better Sports Network and Fantasy Alarm social channels, breaking down tonight's 7-game main slate. James did a little podcast preview of that early slate this morning. We are here live. I said 8 games, 8-game main slate here kicking off at 7 o'clock Eastern time. So first look, live stream, what do we think here, James?
It's an interesting one. Coors Field once again dominates the narrative. We have a righty facing Miami. Miami has been abysmal against righties, but it's a righty that has been bad at pretty much every level he's pitched at. So, what gives? Is it the Marlins offense or is it Carl Kaufman? We have some gas cans at the bottom of this position. Tyler Anderson's been pitching terribly. Zach Greinke's old, and Ken Waldichuk is as bad as it gets. We have some decent names at the top, but this is part of the program where you and I always talk about, this isn't obviously the top of rotations, and if it was, it's a couple guys that haven't pitched to their, I think, top level. Sandy Alcantara, Nestor Cortez, to name a few. Both guys not exactly pitching well right now, so it's an interesting 8-game slate. I wouldn't say it's my favorite 8-game slate. This is usually the range that you and I love. But, there's been better slates. There's been worse slates. But you and I had a very good breakdown yesterday. I think a lot of the winning pieces to a lot of lineups last night were directly involved either in our lineups that we built on the show or that we talked about extensively. So I'm ready to get after it again on this 8-game main slate, John.
Yeah, listen, a couple of weather notes here. If you look on the DraftKings graphic, we got Miami, Colorado, Detroit, Kansas City, and Baltimore, New York, all with the little rain symbols here. Our guy Kevin Roth over at Roto Grinders does up the that weather report. We have our own weather center. You can kind of look at all that data that's around there. Doesn't seem like any of these games going to be overly impacted. Some early rain in the beginning. Maybe it causes a brief delay to start, but should be clear sailing. So we don't have to really worry about the weather here tonight. When we're going on over to Vegas, James, what do we got for any interesting totals or spreads for today?
So on the money line for the main slate, Ryan Weathers, a slight 145 favorite against the Washington Nationals. I think that's significant because you and I are big Washington National versus lefties fans.
Oh, yeah.
Nestor Cortez minus 145 on the money line against Baltimore at home. The biggest favorite on the board, and that has been significantly bet up today. Bryce Miller and the Seattle Mariners take on the Oakland Athletics. Open at minus 255, now minus 300 over on DraftKings Sportsbook.
Not overly surprising.
Not overly surprising considering what Oakland has done against right-handed pitching, and the answer is nothing. Minus 165 for Sandy Alcantara's Marlins against the Colorado Rockies on the road. That's what we have for money lines. In terms of totals, let's take a look. 10 implied runs in San Diego, Washington, I find incredibly interesting. Ryan Weathers versus Trevor Williams. Two pitchers that have been less than stellar this year. 9 implied runs in Los Angeles and Atlanta. That series has been a good one so far. Only 7 implied runs in Mets Cubs. That is by far the lowest number on the board. 8.5 implied in Detroit, Kansas City. 10.5 or 11, depending on where you're looking for Miami, Colorado. That is obviously a slate high. And then 9 implied runs in Boston, LA, 8.5 now in Oakland, Seattle. That had opened at 8. So, a couple games worth mentioning. Very rarely do we see a total with 10 implied runs outside of Coors. So that is definitely worth noting. San Diego, Washington could be a barn burner.
Yeah, for sure. Let's get into pitching here. Obviously, Bryce Miller made his debut, and it was perfect through 6 innings, I think it was, here against the Oakland A's all the way back in that first start in early May. Went on a nice little run. Finally, you had the wheels fall off. We'll put in quotation marks. 6 1/3, 3 earned against Atlanta. A very good showing against Atlanta, all things considered there. Now he's running it back at home against Oakland. Very much worth the price tag. The strikeouts, are that concerning for you at all? You had 10 against Oakland, and then it's been 5, 3, and 4. Do you think we see more of the middling strikeout numbers, or are we going to get an elite strikeout performance here tonight.
I mean, he's up against the team that strikes out the most against right-handed pitching. So like even if you just exclude, like if you just black out the matchup that he had against Oakland earlier in the year, I mean, this is just a team, and just look at the numbers for them. Like this is a team who strikes out the most against right-handed pitching. So I would assume it's going to get back to closer to that first start. Now, am I saying that it's going to be 10? No. But do I think that we're going to get an increase from 4, 3, and 5? I do. I think it's somewhere in the middle of that, which, based on who we have on this slate, could be more than enough. I think we could get deep into this game. We saw his pitch count finally comfortably like over 100, which was
Yeah.
great to see. Even in a game where he struggled and had his worst outing, like that was the game that Seattle, let him go, which I think is a good sign. So I'm going to get to Miller with no problems. He's a
Yeah.
huge favorite. He is going to be popular. So yeah, I mean, I'm perfectly fine getting here. He is not the highest projected owned pitcher of the day, which I'm a little surprised by. He's third. But he's one of 3 guys that are projected over 30%. In large field tournaments, and he's going to be very popular in all formats, cash tournaments, whatever.
All right, the other 3 pitchers up over 9K are Kodai Senga, Tyler Wells, and Bryce Elder. I don't really have much interest in Elder and Wells, just kind of given their matchups. But talk to me about Senga here. We actually have wind blowing in Chicago tonight, which is good for pitchers. Senga, we know, has some elite strikeout potential here. Thoughts on this matchup for him against the Cubs?
Yeah, I mean, the strikeouts have obviously been his saving grace lately.
Yes,
now,
big time.
The Cubs are very middle of the road in terms of strikeout rate. They are exactly middle of the road, tied for 15th in strikeout rate, 23% of the time against right-handed pitching. They've also been kind of good against. They're just a very middle of the against righties, just kind of across the board. Senga 7+ strikeouts and 3 of 4, including 12 against the best team in baseball. So you just kind of have to like that. You like the 9,200 price tag, especially considering this is now the tied for the lowest price he's been all year,
Right.
despite coming off his best start of the season.
I'll never get it, but okay.
Never will. The thing about Senga that we just have to talk about every single time he goes on the mound is, does he have control? Because when he doesn't, he's pitched himself into trouble and things have gotten out of hand. I mean, he has all but one start this year. He has 3+ walks,
right.
Like all but one.
And the funny
that
thing
is
is, he gave us 5 earned in that one start. He didn't.
I know. And I'll give him a little bit of a reprieve. Sometimes pitching Great American is not the best. That was an afternoon game too. Like not the best place to pitch. So like, but we saw 7 strikeouts. Now it wasn't a great outing, but still got you 10 fantasy points just because he can miss bats. Right. So I love Senga. He's probably my favorite pitcher of the day. I would say one of the 2 pitchers in this game are my favorite pitchers, probably to pair with Bryce Miller.
Next tier below in the 8K range here, a couple of names: Paxton, Stroman, Gonsolin, Alcantara, and Cortez. I had obviously been crapping on Paxton because he was abysmal at AAA, and it was a large rehab sample size of work. He's gone to the major leagues. He's faced the Cardinals and the Padres, and he's looked phenomenal. So James Paxton there at $8,900. Then our guy Mark in chat here. You and him battling it out in the 3 max last night. Wants to know if $8,300 Sandy Alcantara is a trap. Listen, he has been dreadful.
Oh boy.
Dreadful. But $8,300. I mean,
no, dude, it's look. What is going on? First off, right? Like, what is going on with this?
He's
guy?
walking people.
He's walking people, but he's walked people before. His strikeout rate, pretty much on par with career marks, has been slightly more unlucky. 300 BABIP compared to 262 last year. Now there is some things suggesting some positive regression coming 398 xFIP compared to a 505 ERA, right? Like that's only a 28% hard hit rate. That's good. Still a 45% ground ball rate for Sandy. He's a career 49% ground ball rate guy. So if he gets that ticking upwards, like maybe things can
He's just
continue to
not
trend in the right
stranding
direction.
anybody, right? 59%
No.
strand rate here. Well, and he's always been up over 70 for the most part
Yeah.
in his career. Is pretty unlucky. And you mentioned, the BABIP's at 300, which is kind of like the league average mark, but he's always been a 270 BABIP guy. So guys,
Yep.
they're hitting him a little bit better. His expected ERA is almost a full run less than his current ERA. His FIP's 3.5. So definitely a lot of good indicators for positive regression here. But I mean, if you look at his rest of season projections, Zips has him at a 3.3 ERA. Like there's
Right.
encouraging things about this spot, but it's like, is Coors the get right game?
I know.
Sandy? Like,
So I'll say this, right? You're never gonna see this price tag again. Like, I get it. If he continues to pitch bad, maybe we will, maybe we won't. How many more slates this year is Sandy Alcantara $8,300? Like,
I mean, we said that about Alek
can,
Manoah, right? And he's just been trash. So,
fair.
Maybe.
Well, Alek Manoah, I feel like that was like me hoping he would get better. You were like, just no, he's not.
Unlike Sandy,
no, he
Manoah
hasn't.
didn't have any numbers
Right.
that suggested that there was a rainbow at the end of the storm.
So, like, I would rather, like, I feel like in this tier, Stroman is the safer option, right? The Mets are not playing Vientos. They have, like, guys in their lineup tonight that you're like, probably shouldn't be there, Mark Canha batting 8th,
Right.
Vogelback batting 7th. Like, I don't know. Like, those aren't the most threatening guys at the bottom of their lineup. Stroman's been really good. There's wind blowing in. He's already a ground ball pitcher. The Mets offense hasn't been great. But Sandy is your GPP guy off of Stroman. Now, here's the thing. They're both, like, going to be owned. They're both in, like, the top 5 in terms of ownership. It's not like Sandy is a little lesser owned than Stroman, which is why I think I point to him more in tournaments. And Colorado, we know, has just guys that hit better against lefties. That's just been what they've done historically. Profar is historically better from the right side of the plate. Chris Bryant's better against lefties his entire career, maybe with the exception of, even this year, not great. So, I could get there. Mark said Sandy a guy for a 4th lineup. I would do it in a 3 max. If you and I are battling for the top of that 3 max again tonight, I'm gonna have a share of Sandy Alcantara for sure. I'm not gonna wait until a 4th lineup or 20 max or whatever. He's gonna be in my top 5
He's
pitchers.
one of your Bryce Miller, Sandy Alcantara pitching combinations, right?
Dude, Yuri Perez last night was great for 4 innings, and then he wasn't in the 5th inning, right? Like, Sandy, we think as of right now is a better pitcher than Yuri Perez.
I mean, it's Cy Young last year.
Right. So I'm just saying, like, maybe where Yuri Perez gets into trouble in the 5th, if Sandy runs into that same issue, he gets out of it.
A Gonsolin flyer here from our guy Ice Through. I don't want to ever really go against anybody in Atlanta. I don't know how you feel about it there, James. I mean, listen, Gonsolin's a good pitcher, no doubt about it. Ben was really good last year. He's been really good this year. There's just like Acuna,
Brady's,
Olsen,
I know,
Riley, Albies,
so righties have had a lot of success against Atlanta, and where you've run into trouble are the 3 guys you mentioned: Acuna, Olsen. You didn't mention Murphy because he's not in the lineup. That was the 3rd guy that's really been hurting them. Righties. Yeah. I mean, here's their numbers, right? 4-hitter Travis d'Arnaud, 288 WOBA. Eddie Rosario, 5-hitter, 260 WOBA against righties. Ozzie Albies hitting 6th, 230 WOBA against righties. Marcell Ozuna, who's hot, I'll give him his props, hitting 7th, 316 WOBA. Orlando Arcia, hitting 8th, 276 WOBA against righties. Michael Harris, hitting 9th, not the guy we thought he was going to be this year. 201 WOBA against righties. Like, 7 of their 9 hitters are subpar against right-handed pitch in terms of weighted on base. Navigate Acuna and Olsen, and obviously Riley could do damage, and these guys can do damage. But like you said, Tony Gonsolin's a good
Yeah.
pitcher. It's not the worst idea to get to.
I like that we got 94 pitches out of him last start.
Yeah, love that.
He got
Love that.
6 innings against Milwaukee. Like this is what I don't understand. I mean, I guess I get it, 94 pitches, but he went only 85 pitches, 5 shutout against.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't I don't know if I can ever trust what they're gonna.
Dave Roberts.
Dave Roberts is gonna do with this guy. Because you would think that
or anybody or any pitcher for that matter.
Like I guess at face value, I now assume his pitch count's at 95, right?
Yep.
Like that's where we think we're at with him now. So,
assuming.
Yeah. Listen, I like it for another sort of contrarian play. I imagine he's not a highly expected roster, right? So,
no.
Yeah,
but
he was really good last year. So, they just limited his innings and pitch count, but 94 pitches last start. So,
you have to worry about the power. If he limits the home runs, right? I mean, look, to my point about Atlanta's offense, they're 17th in OPS against righties. Like, they're top 3 in the league against lefties. Sure. So I'd be okay getting it on.
Sure. Another mid-tier dart throw. Is there anybody under though? Like after you get past Sandy, I mean, I don't think you're going Nestor at home against Baltimore. Matt Boyd. I mean, what version of Matt Boyd shows up here today? I mean, hasn't been very good at all this year, but we know strikeouts for him, and KC strikes out against lefties. We saw Erod just plow them down for a lot of yesterday. Trevor Williams, Ryan Weathers, Tyler Anderson. I mean, are we doing anything below Sandy?
No. I mean, like, to your point about Matt Boyd, the Royals are leading Matt Duffy off tonight. That is a decision that they have made. They've submitted their lineup card, and Matt Duffy is at the top of it. He has hit lefties.
Yeah.
Well, for that matter, like that's more. I'm just joking when I say that because he's
hitting
320 against lefties.
Yeah, I mean, no Salvi Perez tonight in that lineup.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like if that's that would be the one direction I'd go, but I don't think you need to because like let's say you go Senga and Sandy,
right,
or Stroman and Miller. Like Miller being 10-1 doesn't limit you to like yesterday Spencer Strider over 12K, Garrett Cole over 11K. So I don't think you need to go, but like I will say Trevor Williams, for what it's worth, San Diego has been bad against right-handed pitching, but that game with a 10 game environment is awfully.
I agree. All right, let's get a catcher. Adley against Cortez looks pretty decent, right? Adley doing damage against lefties. Nestor not really that impressive this year, especially not at home. Cal Raleigh gets at 4,800 against Waldichuk. We'll see if Tom Murphy's in the lineup or not tonight, but he continues to hit if you want to have a spend down option in that matchup. Kybert, $3,700 against Weather.
Yeah, he's slowed down. He's also been better from the other side of the plate. That's the only issue with Kybert. Like 116 ISO, 267 WOBA against lefties. Ryan Weathers has been terrible. And every sabermetric stat suggests Ryan Weathers is about to get shelled, which is why I'm in. And if anyone watched the Better Betting show before this, I took the Nationals run line tonight, plus 1.5, because I think that Weathers is in for a rude awakening. There's going to be a storm coming to San Diego. Got it. I mean, you saw it.
I thought you were going to be like, there's bad weather, something like that. I figured eventually we were going to get.
I mean, we did. Yeah, for sure. I just didn't go like, I tried to mask the weather joke, but there was a storm coming.
Sure. Tom Murphy's $2,500. So again, if he's in there, Connor Wong against Anderson's 26. Wong probably gets in the lineup tonight after McGuire played last night. Anybody else?
Yeah, Freddie Furman, 2,300 against Boyd. He's been really good. I mean, He's played 13 games. He has 3 home runs. Pretty much every time he's been in, like there's been a threat to power. 11 over 100 or over 1,000 OPS rather this year. Matt Boyd has struggled against righties, so I think Furman, if you want to play a Coors catcher, Jacob Stallings is the one in the lineup tonight for Miami. It was actually pretty good last night.
Yeah, we
Fortes had
played
2
him and he
hits,
came through. So, and Stallings came
2
through the
hits.
night before. So, I mean,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep, Stallings. So Stallings in the lineup. 2,500. He is not a great player, but heck, 1 for 3, a run scored, 2 RBIs, and a walk. $2,500. I'll take that every day of the week.
I agree with you there. First base position here. Again, a lot of expensive players at the top. Anybody stand out to you more than the other?
Nothing like that I'm dying to get to. Like I could definitely get behind Anthony Rizzo at 5,100 against Tyler Wells. Tyler Wells, although he has been good this year, we know what Anthony Rizzo first off does in Yankee Stadium
Mhm.
and what he does against righties in Yankee Stadium. Um, Lefty power has given Tyler Wells a lot of issues. 193 ISO, 49% fly ball rate. That's just not going to play at Yankee Stadium with the short porch and right field. So I can get to Rizzo, 369 Woba, 246 ISO against righties. Um, all the numbers suggesting Tyler Wells is due for some regression. So I like Rizzo of this bunch. The question is like, what do you do? Garrett Cooper coming off the home run yesterday. He's $5,000. That just feels too
Yeah, I'd rather play
expensive.
Mountcastle at 46.
But yeah, then Mountcastle's a lefty masher. He's just been bad. But he has a decent ballpark to hit in from the right side. Nestor has not been the same guy as he was last year. Righties this year against Nestor just
Yeah.
dominating. 340 Woba, 205 ISO, 59% fly ball rate. Like you can't get away with that against against the Orioles rather. I mean they're throwing 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of their first 5 hitters are righties. 7
700
of 9
slugging
hitters.
percentage for Mountcastle against lefties this year.
Yeah, 383 ISO. Like he's a man on a mission. So yeah, I'd rather play Mountcastle as well. You just do factor in like Carl. What is the Carl Kaufman and can he navigate Coors here? He didn't his first
Right.
start. Cooper homered yesterday, so Rizzo, Cooper, Mountcastle for me up here at the top.
Mid-tier range. Drury, we know we'll probably, well, I don't know if we'll play him, but we like the splits generally.
Hitting fifth, officially hitting fifth. Also, no Tom Murphy as the Mariners lineup just
Okay.
came out.
Moustakis, $3,500 against Sandy. If you're not a Sandy believer and you think that he just continues to not pitch well, Moustakis hitting fifth here tonight could be in play. Carpenter's hitting fifth tonight. That's not bad. Torkelson, $2,700 against Greinke. Any interest in Detroit tonight?
Probably not. I feel like we do this song and dance with Zach Greinke every time out, and it's the most disappointing stack of all time. Like it could be the best lineup of all time. Zach Greinke just like comes out of the game. It's like 6 innings, 3 earned runs, 5 hits, and you're like, well, that was super
Yeah.
underwhelming. If you want to play a one off, that's fine. I actually have a lot of interest in Justin Turner
Okay.
tonight against not Kyle Anderson.
Tyler Anderson.
Tyler Anderson. So I'm not a big BVP guy. You know that. But there is a lot of numbers here for Justin Turner. 18 for 36. He is hitting 500 against Tyler Anderson, both spending time in the NL. We're actually teammates last year. But Justin Turner hitting 500 with 3 home runs and a 570 WOBA. He's also just hit lefties extremely well this year. 291 average, 390 WOBA for Justin Turner this year. So I know he's come back from the injury and he hasn't looked great. Probably hits where they usually hit him second against lefties,
Yeah.
I think, or in the top half of the lineup because they outscore. It just has to have Rob Refsnyder hitting third no matter what. So I like Justin Turner quite a bit, 3,700. That game environment is good. The ballpark is good. Tyler Anderson has not been good. And there's a lot of numbers suggesting Turner owns Tyler Anderson's soul. So I'm going to go Turner 3,700 as well.
Alrighty. Other guys, anybody else down for value that you like?
I mean, again, do you want to play? As my wife pops in chat asking if we want Taco Mundo, for sure. My wife is the best, and
Is that a taco? Are we having tacos?
yeah, we're having Mexican food
All right.
tonight for everyone.
Yeah, get me some tacos. I'm down.
When you come down to South Carolina, we'll hit up Taco Mundo.
Okay.
You will not be disappointed. Yuli Gurriel, $3,000, I think is perfectly fine.
All righty. Second base position here. Luis Urias is your most expensive play. Gleiber at $5,100. Nico Hoerner at $49. Christopher Homered Morel again. You know,
Dude.
I mean,
Dude.
just
It's
every game.
It's every game.
It's every game.
No, it's every
9
game.
and 12.
It's
9 and 12. Look, I mean,
every game.
Every game. Like he's home.
Game.
So
will he?
Maybe.
Does he tonight? Wind blowing in.
A couple of games with multi home runs allowed.
Hitting 7th, by the way. Hit 5th last night. Hit a home run, but you know what? Let's hit him 7th.
They'll move him everywhere in that lineup.
What do we have to do? He has to hit 4 home runs in a game for him to like get a consistent lineup spot.
Yeah. Where are you?
Why is he hitting 7th, John?
Who's your favorite of the 4K
group? Christopher Morel.
I mean, right?
Is that fair to say? Like he's just better than everyone else? I mean,
Torres maybe the best matchup.
I mean, peripherally, Tyler Wells is going to regress some point very soon. That could definitely happen here against the Yankees. He's been very good this year, but the xFIP is high, the BABIP's low. Gleyber leading off is obviously ideal. He has been slightly better, 3 multi-hit games in his last 5, so I can get to Gleyber. But I think it's Morel. Like, truthfully, there's no one else at this position that has as much upside as him right now. There's just not. On a day-to-day basis, he has not scored double-digit fantasy points twice this year. Twice. I was going to say once.
And he doesn't have any zeros.
Dude, for like, we can crap on him all we want about the strikeouts because they have obviously been there. As many home runs as he's hit, he has more strikeouts. He struck out in every game he's played this year.
Mm-hmm.
It does not matter. It does not matter. He's not even getting to show off the speed because everything's just leaving the yard. This might be a game where he has a single, 2 stolen bases and a run scored, and he still gets it done for us. Right?
Yeah. I mean,
what if Senga walks? Senga walks everybody.
He's got to be in at least one lineup, right?
Yes.
If you're making a few tonight, he's got to be in at least one.
Even if it's just a one-off. Even if it's the only Cub you have any interest in.
I agree with you.
It's really hard to fade this dude right now
because it's a joke. Honestly,
it is a joke
because he just keeps homering, and you're like, I didn't play him, and he homered. And 15% of the field just threw him in the lineup because he's got a homer forever. All right, under 4K guys, you have McKinstry, you have Garcia at $3,700. Up there, let's see, it falls off. I joked about Adam Frazier the other day, doubled easily off pole for an RBI.
2. I think it wasn't it 2?
Two RBI double. I mean, listen, the man has 7 hits in 3 games, so I don't know. It's a lefty on left.
I got some value here that I think we'd probably like a little bit more.
Throw me some names.
Our boy Caballero back in the lineup tonight, hitting 7th. I mean, the last 2 times we've seen him, he's 2,600 second base shortstop eligible, hitting 7th. He's homered in each of the last 2 games. He had the 3 stolen base game. You talked about it the last time we talked about him. Like, the stolen base thing on a per game basis in the minors was insane. Yeah. So the stolen bases are real.
It's like 2.5 games played per stolen base.
Yeah, that's like Astoria Ruiz at major league level.
It's like Christopher Morel at home runs.
Sure. Yes, that is like Christopher. Perfect example. And then we joked about Matt Duffy, but he's hitting lefties and he's leading off. So second base, third base, 2,400. I would get to both those guys. I'd even maybe
because I think Ken Waldichuk plays tonight against a lefty, and Manuel Valdez probably sits.
Probably, especially because Manuel Valdez has also struggled too. So like, there's no need to like really put him in there against a lefty when you have Pablo Reyes. So you could definitely play. Do we have that lineup? No, the Mariners were the last lineup to come out. But they are also batting Haggerty ninth, first base, second base eligibles, Stone Cold min salary. I would literally play the bat boy if I could
What do
against
we
Ken.
do about this Mastro here hitting second at 2K?
We just pretend like he doesn't
Okay.
exist, and then we move on.
Okay.
I mean,
2K guy hitting second.
yeah, he could steal a base here. Senga could walk him. He has a 3-walk game, and in that game he stole a base. So like that's in the cards. I don't think there's much else in the cards. We're relying on basically a walk and a stolen base from him.
Okay.
So I'm okay with it.
Just this guy just hitting second at min price is kind of jarring to see there. So
John, we have an interesting note that just came across the timeline,
okay.
and because I've been mentioning the Ken Waldichuk thing.
Yeah.
They're using Waldichuk as the long man. They're opening with an Austin Pruitt.
Okay.
Not that like matters all too much, but it does kind of stink because I have been so heavily invested in Seattle all day and every facet in betting in.
I mean, it
But
still
we're
means
not going to get.
Waldichuk will get in this game. So
Yes, yes, yes. But Pruitt has done much better at limiting damage. Doesn't strike anyone out though, so I just thought it's an interesting note.
100%.
That he's Waldichuk's not.
Yeah. 100%. Third base, Devers broke my heart last night. I had sitting in 10th place in the 27 single that I was in. Had Devers. Nobody else ahead of me had Devers, and the man just could not do anything against Griffin Canning. Matt Moore still pitching out here. Like, I mean, the Red Sox offense got blanked, and they've struggled the last 3 games here. But a lot of different opportunities for Devers to come through, and was not able to get it done. He hits lefties, so I'm not really worried about the Anderson matchup. But how do you see rank for you tonight among the other third basemen?
Probably first still, because when you look at the lefty numbers, they are pretty eye-popping. 338 ISO, 367 WOBA against left-handed pitchers, 49% fly ball rate. We talked about it yesterday. The short porch in right field. There's a big wall, but it's not far. It's the 6th best ballpark. If you go to Fantasy Alarm's ballpark ratings, 6th best to hit in this year. So I like Devers against lefties. He's never been a guy that I'm like shying away from. Tyler Anderson, although he's been very bad against righties, 328 WOBA allowed to lefties is not too great either. 44% hard hit rate is not good. The only thing we worry about with Anderson against lefties is the ground ball rate. It's pretty high, 58% ground ball rate against lefties. So that's like a little concerning. And like a 30% difference versus like the opposite split. So I think Devers is first because I think there's just the best upside. Because you also look like Muncy's in a tough spot. We know he's always a home run threat. He has 15 on the year. Like that's a lot of home runs. McMahon is in cores. Stole a base yesterday, but didn't have a hit. That's like very meh at $5,000. Riley's been a 0 against right-handed pitching this year. Been a 0, which is surprising because he's been really good against both splits. Next name I would play. I don't hate playing John Birdie. Leading off again 4,800. He was good yesterday, but like I don't know. There's not a lot to like. Like Eugenio Suarez would probably be my favorite of like the above 4K, but Devers of the 5K range is my top. Guy.
Okay. Below 4K here again. A couple of guys we discussed. DJ LeMahieu, who we have not, $3,700 hitting cleanup tonight.
Yeah. He is so up and down. He's been much better against lefties this year, which is the only issue. And Tyler Wells has been worse against lefties as well. Now, 167 ISO against righties is still bad for Wells. But LeMahieu just hasn't hit any power from the right side. I don't know. Like, it's fine. It doesn't like if that's where you end up, 3,700 for LeMahieu, and you're playing like the top 4 in the Yankees lineup, like I have no problem doing it. But I wouldn't play LeMahieu in any type of like one-off scenario.
Okay. Candelario hitting cleanup against Weathers. I know you mentioned you like Washington tonight. I have to imagine that the cleanup hitter is appealing to you.
Yeah, he's actually been weirdly bad against lefties this year, but that's opposite of what his career has been. He has been largely better from the right side, and he's on freaking fire,
Yeah.
dude. He has, I mean, 472 average over his last 10 games, 1380 OPS over that span, 2 home runs, 5 doubles, 5 runs batted in. He doesn't strike out all that much. So Heimer Candelario is definitely in play 3,200. I think Ryan Weathers is a gas can. So the peripheral numbers suggest he's a gas can as well. So I'm perfectly fine getting to Candelario in a game with, hey, it's the second highest game total on the board, only half a run total less than Coors Field. Like, by default, you know, that should pique your interest just a little bit.
Yep. Anything else for you? Do you like Beatty here at $2,900? I know you mentioned liking Stroman, Beatty at the middle of the lineup here for the Mets.
No, I'm not really in on the Mets. It's really hard to attack ground ball
Sure.
pitchers. You could take a shot against Paxton if you wanted to on like a Gio Urshela. Not like my favorite thing to
Yeah.
do. We could play Matt Duffy down here as
Yeah,
well. So
Garcia, Duffy, 9-1 wraparound stack, maybe.
yeah, you could play. Yeah, like you could play those guys. I think that's fine.
Yep, I'm with you. Shortstop here. Witz, your top price guy, and he's hitting third tonight, moving all around the lineup. Xander homered the other day, $5,100 for him. Mateo Birdie, are there. Lindor, Javi Baez, for whatever reason, still priced up. Where are we? Do we like any of these top price shortstops?
Yeah, Bobby Witt's been good against lefties. I'm okay getting to Bobby Witt. I think there's some interesting pieces for the Royals. It's kind of the similar thing we said yesterday. He's a 300 ISO against left-handed pitching this year. Matt Boyd, 193 ISO allowed to righties. Like, there's a lot of good correlation there. So I like Bobby Witt, 5,400. I'm okay getting to Xander, although I like lefties better against Trevor Williams. Typically, that has been the spot that he
Yeah.
struggles with the most. But Xander's been coming around. Couple hits, he had a couple hitless games, but before that, he had like a 6-game hit streak going. And then he homered yesterday, but so did everybody for San Diego. Mateo has like fallen off a literal cliff. RIP to our favorite player this year.
Listen, we knew he wasn't going to be the number one player in fantasy baseball forever. So
I know. It's probably Witt, Bogarts, Birdie, and then next interesting name is probably Volpe for me. Not that Volpe's been great, but he's been good at home. He had the sac fly to win the game last night. Maybe that's like a kickstart to
if he can
something
find his
big
way
for
on to
him.
first, there's stolen base potential. So
Right, and then of course the power hitting JP Crawford sits there at 3,500. Because we all know JP Crawford first power, right, John?
I talked too much crap about him yesterday on this exact stream.
Isn't that what happens?
You knew the home run
That's
was going to happen. So
that's what happens. He does now get a righty
today and not yesterday. So
I know. He does get his first at bat against a righty.
It's true. It's true. He could get there. Kike's been bad, but historically better against lefties.
You can just play Caballero down here as well.
Yeah, that's probably where I'm going to go, right? And play Morel at second, play Caballero at short tonight.
Yeah, that feels good. I mean, I do like Bobby Witt if you can afford it, right? Like if you can afford Bobby Witt, I think that would make a lot of sense.
Outfield position here. Again, a lot of top end talent. Aaron Judge, the big home run there, saving some lineups, saving some PrizePicks plays last night for everybody who had it. Yeah, 100%. Aaron Judge there with the homer, the knife. That guy, listen, the Orioles closer throws like 105 miles an hour, and he threw an 80-mile-an-hour changeup down the middle of the plate.
Was quite bad. It was quite bad.
Right, like what do you all the pitches you have in your arsenal, you threw that meatball down the middle to
Aaron Judge
to tie the game. So that's what happens, right? Listen, Judge for sure in play. Acuna is always in play. Where anybody else here that I guess I guess the easier question is like, who of this grouping do you not like today?
I don't really have an answer on who I don't like. Like, I probably wouldn't play. There's a case for every single one of these guys. I would say. I mean, there's a case for Acuna, Otani, lefty, lefty. Maybe that scares you away. But Trout
Yoshita's
coming off the
lefty
home run
lefty,
last night.
probably, you know.
But like Mookie hits righties extremely well. There's been a lot of power in his bat lately. Soto has been really good against right-handed pitching, and he's homered in 2 of 3. And now got Trevor Williams, who struggles with lefty power. We have Soler 5,500. Like Mullins is leading off, hitting lefties extremely
we had the
well.
Soler play last night. I mean, listen,
Yeah,
everybody was on Soler. It's not like we discovered the hidden gem, right? But we talked about the home run props for him. He was
yep,
plus 180 to homer, and then we went and looked at what he would be the first homer of that game, and it was plus 380. We're like, oh, as long
yep,
as John Birdie doesn't homer to lead off the game, we have a really good shot on
right.
it. Sure enough, second at bat of the game, Jorge Soler goes yard, and if you hit the plus 380 on the homer, we cash that one. Are we running it back with the Soler home run props today? What do you think?
Not very good odds today. Wasn't as good of odds as it was yesterday. He's primarily been bad against right. Dude, if you had a color chart to see what Miami is against
No
right-handed
such
pitching
thing as
this
a color
year,
chart for me.
they are terrible against righties. Everyone, every single player except Luis Arias is terrible against righties. And that's what I was talking about. Like, what the hell do we do? Because Carl Kaufman is terrible,
Right.
but the Marlins are terrible against righties. The only thing they have done is hit lefties moderately well. Soler included, we just know there's a massive ceiling because he could put one into Broncos
Right.
Stadium. Um, so look, if you want to get to Soler, I get it. If you want to fade him, I get it. We just saw 2 nights ago there was Righty on the mound for Colorado, and they scored 3 runs.
Right.
They only scored 4 runs last night, but half of the run production was from Soler. So um, I'm kind of torn on what to do here because he obviously is a great play in Coors Field because he has more power than any other human being in baseball. But like, you know, we saw what happens when he doesn't hit for
Yep.
power. It's an 0 for 4 with, so um GPPs for me for Soler, he's not I don't think he's as smash button as he was
All
yesterday.
right. Other guys down here, we talked about Morel already. We have the 2 Colorado plays. Riley Green, $4,800. Zach Greinke matchup here. I know you kind of alluded to how like Greinke feels like we don't ever get enough out of him when we play against him. Riley Green, one of the top prospects in baseball last year, had a little bit of a down year due to injuries and just initial performance, but 341, 88 OPS, 488 slugging in the last 10 games. Any interest here on Riley Green?
Yeah, it's not that I don't have like interest in some Tigers, just like limiting my exposure to
Sure.
Tigers. Greinke has been very good on righties. He has been very bad against lefties. 215 ISO, 343 WOBA allowed, 44% hard hit rate. Um, so like I'm perfectly fine getting to McKinstry or Green. Those are probably the only 2 guys I would get to. Maybe a Kill Badu a little further down at this position. But if you end up getting to Riley Green, that's fine because he's probably going to be lower owned, especially when you look for $200 cheaper. Jared Kelnick's there for $500 cheaper. Anthony Santander is
Yep.
there, who has been literal nails against lefties from now or from
I mean, yeah,
the
I'm
end
going
of
to pull up the numbers
before
here.
time.
I just had them up and I backed out of them quickly there. I was looking at Mountcastles with Santander. He's basically just as ridiculous against lefties this year from a pure power standpoint. He has a 989 OPS, a 578 slug on the year, 289 average for Santander against lefties. So I think, well, I guess I like playing Baltimore here tonight, but like, what does the rostership say here, James?
The roster ship's going towards Nestor. There's a lot of people on Nestor Cortez tonight.
Well, I mean, that's probably better for our stack then, right? If we're
Yes,
going again.
he is the highest projected owned pitcher of the night.
Really?
Yes.
I don't get it.
I mean, I think there are people still hanging on to last year's Nestor, and he has not been that guy this year. And they also, much like the Alcantara price tag, have not seen Nestor Cortez at $8,100.
Sure.
I
Baltimore this year
mean,
is 8th in WOBA. They are 8th in ISO. They are 8th in OPS. Slugging, they're 7th. Batting average, they are 12th. And strikeout rate, they rank 25th, all against left-handed pitching. So third highest
I'm
walk
perfectly
rate
fine
as
getting
well. So a top 10 offense
yeah,
across the board against lefties this year.
and they're healthy.
Right.
Like their top 5 of Mullins, Rutschman, Mountcastle, Santander, and Hayes is like very, very good top half of your lineup. So yeah, listen, I'm in. I get it. I think you and I are both on this.
Like if you're gonna give me under 10% Baltimore again, like I play that all the time. Like I love it. So
well, there's no chance that they're not given. So this is how it's broken down in terms of ownership. Nestor is currently the only guy over 40%. Yeah. It's updated a little bit. Bryce Miller is right behind him, like right under 40%. And that's kind of changed since since the last update. But Nestor is just significantly higher, and Senga as well. It's Nestor, Senga, Miller as like the 3 guys separated from the field in terms of
I'll be wrong, I guess, if that ends up being the case. But
well, I'm with you, John. By the way, I took in the better betting live stream that Howard and I did last segment. If you guys saw at 4:00, I took the over in this game. It's at 8 runs. I don't feel like Tyler Wells is going to continue to pitch as well as he has, and I took the over because Baltimore's offense has been so good against left-handed pitching, and Nestor has not been against righties. Baltimore has quite the amount of good righties to throw at Nestor tonight. So I'm with you. I'm right there with you in terms of being wrong. If we're wrong on Baltimore, and we'll take the L. But I'd rather play them than a chalky.
It's gonna be kind of. I mean, there's gonna be a little wind too after this rain comes through. I'm on weather.com, 11 to 13 miles an hour going out. I mean, I don't know. We could sit here all day. Cedric PvP versus Nestor is ugly. Well, that's a lefty versus lefty matchup there, so that's not
surprising. And Nestor has been really good until this year.
Yeah,
last year he was dominant.
That too, but also Cedric versus lefty, not really too shocking in that one.
Well,
changed starting pitcher. Yeah, Michael, we talked about that. They're going with the opener, Pruitt to open, Waldichuk as their long reliever today. So we'll have all that there as well. Let's go a little bit further down. Finish up this outfield. We can start making some lineups for the night. What did we leave off there? Santander, we talked about. Seiya versus Senga could be a little interesting. Lane Thomas, our guy, leading off against a lefty. I mean,
yes, sir.
That's a bingo card play for us every time, every day. Love that spot for him. De La Cruz had 4 hits against a righty. Another hit last night. Any interest in De La Cruz here?
Yeah, it's not that I don't think he's a good play. He just hasn't hit for any power against righties. Carl Kaufman could definitely change that. Like De La Cruz can deposit one. I'm definitely getting to him. Last 10 games hitting 459, now over 300 on the year. Hitting in the middle of the lineup. We went from 6 to 5 to 5 to 5 again. So yeah, I could definitely play some Brian De La Cruz.
With you there as well. Moving on down the list here. Bader homered last night. Austin Hayes, a guy that's always hit lefties fairly well. I think we looked at it this year, though. The numbers flipped on him this year.
Not good against lefties so far this year.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. He's hitting
160 ISO is okay.
Yeah, some power. Hitting 303 on the year, which is so weird how some of these years these guys just like completely flip it. 260 average, 420 slug against lefties this year. So he's hitting 5th. I mean, Starling Marte is all the way down here. It's kind of wild to see. Let's see. A Story. I know it's a tough matchup, but I mean, if the man gets on,
He's gone.
the man is running. So, and did he break up the perfect game? Was it him?
No, he broke up the scoreless.
Broke
I
up
think
the
he had
scoreless.
I forgot who broke it, but he had the RBIs.
He had the
Single or
RBI.
double.
Okay. So Story is always in play for us. $3,300. I don't mind that. Ref Snyder's going to hit third tonight. I know you hate it, but what did I send you? I sent you that tweet the other day. Ref Snyder the last 2 years against left-handed pitching is an absolute monster. You shake your head. It's gross. You don't like it. I get it. He only plays against lefties. Look at his numbers, man. 435, 1084, 565. You know, he's not hitting home runs, but 8 RBIs in the last 10 games, 3 doubles, 5 runs scored. Gonna hit third.
I'm shaking my head more, not be like you're right. I don't love it. But like
for no reason other than that you have a bias.
No, I sit up here and talk about the Red Sox all the time. Don't do that.
No, bias against him.
Maybe against him personally, yes. Because he, top Yankees prospect, not turned into nothing. I'm shaking my head more so because I agree. Like Tyler Anderson has been terrible against righties, and we're looking for righties. He's going to be one of the 4 that are in the lineup, right? Like the Red Sox have a lot more power from the left side, and when there's a lefty on the mound, it's Rob Refsnyder in the lineup. So yeah, I'm shaking my head more so because I have to agree on the Refsnyder front for tonight and tonight only.
I mean, that's all it really is.
All that matters, yeah. DFS, no daily fantasy sports.
It's right there.
Okay. You listen. Right? You know what? I have no. I can't refute what
man has been an animal against left-handed pitching. So
and great against lefties.
$2,800. Could be a one-off. Could be a part of a stack. You name it. Moniak is a lefty, but I mean, talk about another guy that is just absolutely destroying. Is he going to lead off as a lefty?
No, they have. I don't think he. Yeah, they're starting Taylor Ward tonight.
So I see it. Yeah, Taylor Ward. Okay. Is Moniak not even in the lineup?
Yeah, not in the lineup. They're giving Taylor Ward a crack. They're giving a crack.
I love these coaches that just take out just white hot players.
Yep.
Doesn't make any sense. Stone Garrett being $2,800, like that.
Yep.
Against Weathers. Let's see. What else do we have here? Badou's 25, hitting 6th.
Yep. I don't hate that. I don't hate Baddoo. Lefties against Greinke has been the thing. Badou's been a little better, slowly coming around.
Anything else for you?
Yeah, I mean, like you could take shots if you're playing in that San Diego game, like Grisham or Odor. Odor has been better of late. 4 RBIs the other day, a stolen base yesterday, hitting 6th. Like we talk about, like good spots in lineup. Trevor Williams has been terrible against lefties. Jake Bauers also hitting 6th for the Yankees tonight. Both like very low floor guys. But if you're playing either like a stack of either one of those teams, I don't hate it. And you mentioned Matt Straboni hitting 2nd. You could play him Stone Cold Min.
Yep. All right, let's build then. We got Bryce Miller at our top.
Yeah.
What's our SB2 here tonight, James?
I don't know. What was your feelings? Because I don't know, like, but I'm torn between do we just go Senga or Stroman in that game? And the elephant in the room is, does Sandy Alcantara at 8,300 pitch to what Sandy Alcantara is capable of pitching?
Right.
What's your flavor as an SB2? Because I don't think playing like Senga 3,800, like we can build around that easily.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So I don't think anything is really off the table here.
No, I'm with you there. I do like the Alcantara play here. I just think that this is a spot where we mentioned all the positive regression numbers in Colorado just not being a great hitting team in general. Even the games in Coors in this series haven't been that wildly overscoring. So I'm willing to go Sandy and give us 39.50 to build. I did like Baltimore as a stack here. So, I mean, those guys are expensive. So we're going to need to find some spend downs, but like we liked, what do we have? We had Calabera short, right?
Yeah, Caballero at short. Yep.
Catcher. Do we have a value?
Yeah, Furman, 2,300.
Furman, yeah. So that's 44. If we go Mountcastle, Santander.
That was the duo that I also went.
Yep.
Um,
So that gives us 44.50. We wanted to do Morel as a one-off play here. What was our third base?
So I built with Candelario.
Okay.
But it depends on like what we wanted to do because Candelario gets us Juan Soto here.
Okay.
If
use Lane.
Yeah, we could do Lane we could do Lane. So we'll be 200 off. I built with Teoscar Hernandez because I think we're missing. Seattle is such a good stack tonight, in my opinion. They get like the best matchup on the board. I know Pruitt's starting, but it's Waldichuk, and Seattle's offense has been better. So I was just finding ways to get to Seattle. I went with Teoscar in mine. 3,900 hitting sixth. ISO against lefties has been insane over the last 2 years, and that's what got me to Soto. But we could also change that. I don't mind it. That's also with like spending down at Candelario and Teoscar. So like that was my the final three pieces in my lineup that I went with, but we could obviously pivot off that.
Yeah, for sure. What was our other? We didn't really have anybody under Sandy for pitching, so I don't mind it. No, I'm good with going there. And then we want to one off. You one off Soto.
I did, yeah. I basically ran a Candelario Soto like mini game stack with that game being
10
implied runs.
Did you want to do Kelnick?
You could also do Kelnick. That would also be very intriguing. I wonder if that we could do that with $200 off. Oh no, you could do it third if you want to do a full pack of Seattle. Yep,
4 stack.
It's exactly $4,400. Now that's up to you. I think Seattle is one of the best plays of the slate, if not the best play of the slate. Yeah. Just given what Waldichuk has been, but I don't know if that is. You have the same sentiments, especially with Pruitt now, like randomly.
Yeah, I've never been the biggest Seattle play. I know you've championed Seattle a lot this year.
Mostly late, like more so lately, because I think that there's a lot of, especially with like Julio Rodriguez, like things are.
I guess that's where I get hung up on. I hate playing a stack without playing the best player.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to get everywhere else there, I guess. Like if we did, can we even fit in 2,400 third baseman? Just Duffy. There we go. Made it work. So we got Julio Rodriguez, Kelnick, Santander, Caballero, Duffy, Morel, Mountcastle, Furman, with Miller and Alcantara as a lineup there. How's that sound?
Perfect.
Love it. All right. James and I will be in the Discord. If you're not yet signed up, go to facetom.com/allpro, promo code MLB 50, NFL 50, whatever you want to use there, gets you 50% off the first 6 months. We got a 7-day free trial going on right now as well. So check it all out. We'll be back tomorrow for